Is leave granted? Leave is not granted, Senator McKenzie.
Pursuant to contingent notice standing in my name, I move that so much of standing orders be suspended as would prevent me moving a motion to provide for the consideration of a matter, namely a motion to give precedence to a motion relating to the government's failure on fuel security. And if those following along at home, those who may be sitting in the tractor, this suspension motion is all about allowing the Senate to debate and discuss the government's failure to manage our fuel security, which has resulted in fuel shortages, price increases right around the country. And you will have heard senators on the coalition benches today asking question after question after question all week, raising specific issues of shortages and price hikes for the Australian people. Whether we are talking about croppers in the WA, the Leader's home state, who are trying to fill tractors right now and harvesters being unable to get the fuel they need to get the crop in and the crop off. This is an issue of fuel security, and as Senator McDonald will go to in her contribution to this suspension motion, the horticulture industry, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania, all struggling to get diesel into the tractors that are needed to actually get the harvest off. And what have we seen from this government on this issue? Deflection after deflection after deflection. What did they do last week? Oh, here's the big news story. Jim Chalmers wrote a letter to the ACCC. Whilst there were cars lined up at suburban servos trying to fill the tank before it became unaffordable. This is not like deciding to buy camembert at the supermarket. Fuel means that families can get their kids to school, get themselves to and from work. It is not an elastic good in the weekly shopping budget. And yet this government thought it was okay. And what made that so galling last week was the fuel price hikes at servos were for fuel that was already on shore, here already in Australia, prior to the war in the Middle East starting. That's what made it so galling. You should have been prosecuting servos from day one, Jim Chalmers, instead of just writing letters to the ACCC. This week, we actually saw the Transport Minister, Minister King, my counterpart in the other place, when questioned about this. What was Minister King's answer to why we were seeing fuel shortages and price hikes on diesel and petrol? She told the journos it was the Queensland floods. The Queensland floods were why you couldn't rock up to your local servo and get the tank filled. And it was just incredible. And so Shadow Minister Tehan and myself have written to Minister Bowen, because minister after minister after minister, to specific question after question after question in this place, seeking to raise the concerns of everyday Australians, fishing industry, agriculture and mining industry, here on the floor of the Senate, has been to say, we have enough supply, Australia. You naughty, naughty consumers rushing to the Bowser to get petrol and diesel that you can afford. How dare you get concerned that you won't have access to fuel when and where you might need it? How dare you ring into 2GB, 3AW, 6PR, your local radio station, saying, you know what, petrol's gone to $2.20, petrol's gone to $2.50, fuel's gone to $3. New South Wales farmers have raised the concern. There are petrol stations in regional communities rationing, and it hasn't started today. It's been happening all week, and we've got a government once again in denial on what's happening outside of this place. It is our job as Liberal and National Party senators to bring the concerns of our communities to this place, to ask ministers who have the responsibility, the great privilege to be ministers, what are you doing about it? And to be told you can't do anything about it shows how absolutely pathetic you are. You refuse to take responsibility because we know you have actual ability under the legislation available to get granular data. Chris Bowen has ability to get granular data on his desk so he knows where the fuel supplies are running out, so he can get it distributed to where it's needed, so that Australians aren't paying more for fuel than they need to on top of the cost of living crisis you created, and our farmers and our fishers can get on with producing food.
McKenzie, your time has expired. Senator Wong has precedence.
Thank you. I move that the question be now put.
The question is now put. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Against say no. The ayes have it. Division required. Ring the bells for 4 minutes.